Okay, so I will have you guys just kind of think on those a little bit as we move forward. So now we finally get to go back to Walt Disney. So we've talked about what are your dreams. All of our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. So we've already addressed number one. Why is it that we have such a hard time saying yes? Why do we always seem to reach for no first? Generally that's because some experience that we had some experience growing up that told us that we needed to interact with the world a certain way. The story that I told last time, which is just such a fun story to tell, determined a lot of what I've done for most of my life. That story happened when I was in the 2nd grade, and we were going to the library. I absolutely love the library because I didn't like reading at that point, but I loved being read to at that point. And so every 3rd Wednesday, we would go to the library, and our librarian would read to us. But all the other days, all the other times of the month, we would go and you'd have to have your pencil so that you could do worksheets and stuff. But it was the 3rd Wednesday, and we had all lined up at the door, and my teacher, Mr. Westbrook, said, "Okay, everybody, go get your pencils." And I said, "But Mr. Westbrook, we don't have to get our pencils because it's the 3rd Wednesday and we never need our pencils on the 3rd Wednesday because she reads to us." And he's like, "Okay, sounds good, thanks Allison." We all marched down to the elementary school because that's what you did as elementary school kids, you marched. So we marched down to the library, and we get to the library and we all line up ready to go up to the loft, and our librarian there said, "Allison," well, she didn't say my name, she just said, "Okay, everybody, pull out your pencils, we're doing a worksheet today." And one delightful young lady, who I don't remember, but I probably feel more animosity towards than I should, said, "But Mrs. Wheeler, we don't have our pencils." And Mrs. Wheeler looked at her and said, "Why don't you have your pencils?" And every person in the room turned in unison and looked at me and said, "Because Allison told us we didn't need them." I wanted to fall in, like just drop through the floor and just disappear. Like I just wanted to get out of there because every person in the room as one just turned and it's like it's her fault. What did that teach me for the rest of my life? Up to a year ago.
Not to speak up.
Not to speak up.
Not to use the words.
Yep, not to be smart. Do not show off, do not speak up, do not put yourself forward. Because if you do any of those things, people will not like you. And so that was my experience. That was what I got out of life. That was the program that was going on. Every time I would put myself forward, every time I would try something new, I had a program telling me, don't put yourself forward, don't show off, don't be smart, no one will like you. And so I stopped doing any of those things. Well, actually, I didn't stop. I just sort of accepted in a really twisted, weird way that no one would ever like me because I wasn't going to stop putting myself forward. That is a really depressing way to live life. And so I decided that I was going to instead embrace life, and I was going to let that story go, and I was going to write a new story. So when I wake up, most mornings, I would love to say one day I'm going to get to every morning, but when I wake up in the morning now, I tell myself 3 times, you value, you matter, and people will like you when you're you. Say that to myself 3 times. You value, you matter, and people will like you for being you. It doesn't matter what thing it is in your life, what story you've told yourself, you can rewrite your story so that you can start saying yes instead of saying no. Because for me, I said no to friends. I said no to getting along better with the people around me because that was what my program told me. And so I would be in an interaction with someone, and the interaction would not go well because I went to it like a grumpy person, a grumpy, crunchy person. And so that's what they took from me. And so they stayed away. And so I was able to tell myself, well, I'm just never going to have friends because of whatever reason. And so that's what I always put out, and that's what I always got back. So I want you to think about the dreams that you wrote down. Perhaps one of the reasons that you have told yourself no is because you have a story that tells you you have to say no. This is bonus. I will not have you do it now for sake of time, but I would encourage you to sit down and write a story about one of the things you've written down. Do some homework of sorts and figure out why it is on one of your dreams you always say no, or why you said yes but still didn't do it. Because there is something inside of you that tells you it's not worth it, or generally tells you you're not worth it. We think we're saying, oh well, that's just too hard. We think we're saying, oh well, that's not worth the effort. What you're really telling yourself is, I don't think that I'm worth the effort. I don't think that I could ever do that, so I'm just not going to try. All of our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. That is one of my all-time favorite quotes. We start going after dreams when we start embracing the fact that we're going to try it no matter what. That we are just going to go for it. It doesn't matter what things deter us, it doesn't matter what things happen, because we know what we want and we know what we value and what we care about matters. And so my hope for this class is to give you a tool, a vision board, to help you when you feel like it's not worth it. I have been prepping for this class for 2 months. And in the last 2 months, more junk and more rando stuff has showed up in my life than I think ever has before. And so I have started journaling like crazy. I've got to get it on paper and I've got to chuck it in the garbage because I don't want that inside of me anymore. Yes, that's a fantastic technique for life. If you've got junk in your head, write it down, throw it away, and get rid of it. Because in order for you to have something new in your life, in order for you to have a new mindset or to kind of raise yourself or expand your bubble to receive that new thing in your life, you've got to get rid of old thinking. Because old thinking is always going to have you say no. Old thinking is always going to tell you you're not worth it. And so as you write the gross, negative, trashy stuff down and throw it, then you open yourself up to new possibilities. Albert Einstein said, to solve a problem, you cannot be the same person who created the problem in the first place. Now, I'm not saying your dreams are problems. Your dreams are beautiful things. But you cannot be the same person who has never got that goal before if you now want to be the person who gets that goal. And so you've got to embrace new thinking, new mindsets, new ideas about yourselves in order to actually get to the goal. So you have a list of dreams. You have a list of things to think about. And now I want to teach you of how, well, nope, we're going to look at, already read this one. Now the reason why I've prepped this the way that I have is because in my mind, the entire point of vision boards is to, one, teach your brain to go to that thing that you want. To teach your brain what that thing looks like. Because like we said at the very beginning, if it hasn't happened yet, it's scary. And if it hasn't happened, it won't happen. And so by doing a vision board, you are showing your brain, you close your eyes and you envision that thing, you get education about that thing, you are teaching your brain what that feels like, what that looks like. So then all of a sudden you wake up one morning and that thing's not scary anymore. You wake up one morning and your brain starts going, that actually feels pretty familiar. I want to spend some time there. And as you do this, your brain then goes, wait a minute, for 3 to 5 minutes every morning and 3 to 5 minutes every night, we are in that place. So I just gotta go with Disneyland, guys. I promise I don't promote them. I promise. I'm not getting any kickbacks from them. It's just what's been on my mind a lot lately, because for me that was always, as a kid, that was the place you went. And I never went. And I have regretted how I handled it the first go around. And so this time, because it's now familiar, I can build a much better after story. And so this time I see myself actually smiling and engaging and meeting people, because to me now that looks fun. Now you can do this with any dream you want. I also do this with a 4-bedroom house. And I close my eyes and I think about what happens if I have a room just for a piano. Like, what would my life be like if I have a room just for a piano? And I have a room with a kitchen table that's big enough for 13 people to be there, which works every other place except for Harry Potter, so that's good that that's not there. And what happens if I have an entire section of my house that I can close off for my cats? Now you're laughing at me, but I'm allergic to cats, but I want cats. So my answer for this is to put cats in one section of my house where they don't touch my clothes and they don't lay on my bed, but I still get to go play with cats. So this is my dream. Is I have a place just for my piano, I have a place for lots of friends over to eat, I have a glorious couch, and I have a room just for my cats. And I have other rooms just for my kids so that they are, in theory, interacting in a healthy, positive way. Is that even a possibility for me in this moment right now? No. No. But the more that I think about it, the more I get excited about it. I sounded kind of excited. I think I sounded kind of excited. That's the first time I've explained it that way. But it's something that it makes me smile. It makes me happy. So often we look at our dream and we immediately say no, so we drop it. We put it in the closet, we close the door, and we say, because that hurt. Because we automatically said no. So what I'm inviting you and encouraging you to do is to pull this dream out and sit with it for a while. Because you're looking at it for 3 to 5 minutes every morning, and you're thinking about it 3 to 5 minutes every night, and you get excited about it. And then you want to start doing research about it. So you start going, okay, how much is this 4-bedroom house? How much would it take to have a 2-car garage? How much does it cost to get cats spayed and neutered, because that's the responsible thing to do? How much is it to do all of these different